Hello everyone, this is Shashwat this side. I often see many small to medium enterprises and even individuals leaving ports and services open on their servers, kind of with the mindset of who is going to attack us, right? But trust me, that's not how it works. And today I will show you exactly why. So, what I did was I deployed this entire lab on Azure, and in this lab, I set up a honeypot, basically a server that pretends to be vulnerable. Now, this honeypot simulated a lot of different services, things like SSH, Telnet, web applications over HTTP and HTTPS, FTP, SMB, SMTP, and even VoIP, and many, many more. And on top of that, I created a Hive server that was integrated with ELK stack. This allowed me to ingest and analyze all the logs that were coming in from these honeypots, and I also had an attack map running, so I could literally see attacks happening live across the globe. Here's the architecture of my deployment. If you want, you can pause and take a look at the details. Now let's move over to the attack map. Look at this. You can literally see hundreds of attacks hitting our honeypot services every single second from all corners of the world. Some of these are what I call attack beacons. They're all sending non-stop traffic, scanning ports, trying brute force on our usernames and passwords for services. Then you will also notice these small dots. They are not attacking right now. They are just quietly sending single packets. Basically, they are mapping what's open, reachable on the internet so that they can launch bigger scans or even attacks later. Now, check this out. Here you can see which services are being attacked the most. Surprisingly, FTP comes out on top with SSH in second place. Interesting, right? Normally, SSH is the most targeted because every cloud server has a SSH open by default. But here's the thing. When attackers see FTP open, they jump on it. Why? Because in many default configurations, FTP is far less secure than SSH. In fact, I have even seen large reputable companies leaving FTP ports open for anonymous logins just because of misconfigurations, and that's a huge problem. Okay, now let's jump into the Kibana dashboard. You can see right here we have around 4 million attacks just in last 24 hours. Yeah, you heard that right. 4 million attacks just in one day. Now let me break it down. Cowrie, which is the SSH and Telnet honeypot, alone accounts for about 3 million attacks. No surprise there because SSH and Telnet are attractive targets. Then we have Tanner, a web honeypot, which is obviously highly lucrative for attackers since web applications is where most vulnerabilities exist. Dionia is another one. It pretends to be vulnerable services like SMB, FTP, TFTP, and many more. Then we have got this Redis honeypot. It simulates a fake Redis database. Honeytrap handles low interaction TCP UDP services. And here's something that amazed me, Centripeer. Even though VoIP services are not that common, this honeypot still saw around 18,000 attacks for something not so widespread. That number is quite crazy. And we have got Cisco ASE honeypot simulating VPNs, Conpot simulating SCADA services, Mailanis, which emulates SMTP servers, and ADB honeypot simulates basically Android debug bridge. And these are just the top 10. There are 80 plus honeypots running in. Now let's switch to the dynamic attack map. Look closely. The top attacker sources include India itself, then South Korea, Malaysia, the UK, the US, Argentina, and literally thousands of other attack beacons from all over the world. We could even check how many unique IPs were involved. Let me just pull that up. Okay, let me just spin up a visualization here. We will put matrices here and source IPs here. And there you go. 6,595 unique attackers. Yep, that's how many different attackers or attack beacons were hitting just this one single server. Okay, here's another interesting visualization, attacks over time graph. I did an experiment yesterday. Let me pull yesterday's log too. You see this drop right here in the graph. That's because I turned off my honeypot for about 30 minutes. So no logs got generated during that particular time. But as soon as I switched it back on, the attack started immediately again, non-stop. It shows you these attackers, or rather automated bots, are scanning 24 by 7 without missing a beat. You can see all these other visualizations here. And here's another one. Here you can see the top usernames and passwords being used in these brute force attempts. And as you would expect, it's the usual suspects: admin, root, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, things like that. Weak passwords are still a major issue. But here's the kicker: that 4 million number I mentioned earlier, that's not even the real count of packets or requests. Those were just the alerts, though the ones Kibana analyzed and marked as actual alerts. The real volume of packets we received is much bigger. Wanna see? Here it is, 24.8 million logs in just 24 hours. Yep. And this is the kind of data that SOC teams, threat hunters dig into. They deep dive, correlate events, and try to connect dots in case there's suspicion that an attacker bypassed defenses or on real production systems. This is where tools like KQL queries in Kibana come into play, filtering, slicing, dicing data to extract meaningful insights. Now you might say, okay, but come on, out of all the servers online, how would attackers even find my IP? Fair point. But here's the reality. First of all, there are literally lakhs of attackers and bots scanning IP ranges every single second, 24 by 7. Secondly, within just minutes of your server going live or you opening any port, it's scanned by bots like Shodan. And once Shodan finds it, it lists your server publicly with all its open ports, running services, and even the CVs it's vulnerable to. In fact, here's my honeypot listed on Shodan with everything visible: open ports, services, and all vulnerabilities you can see right here. An attacker doesn't even need to scan anymore. They just can filter Shodan results by CVs or by service type. For example, if I just type IP camera in Shodan, there you go. Hundreds of live cameras across the world, some even unauthenticated, directly viewable from the internet. Crazy, right? And this is why small startups, medium businesses, and even large enterprises cannot afford to ignore basic security hygiene. Leaving unused services open, not properly configuring things like FTP, SMB, or RDP, and on top of that, using weak passwords. All of these are open invitation to the attackers. And once they are in, they can plant malwares, backdoors, rootkits, or use your server to spread malware to your customers. You might not even realize it, but you could end up serving malicious content through your own systems to your own consumers without knowing it. Internet is a dangerous place, and the only safe way to survive here is practice least exposure. Keep only what you absolutely need open. Shut down everything else. Harden your configs, enforce strong passwords, and keep monitoring. So yeah, this was a small demo for my honeypot lab, and I hope it makes you think twice before saying who is going to attack us, because the answer is very simple: someone out there already is.